Welcome back, everyone, and I'm here again with SBR contributor Jeff Grant, and today we're covering that college football championship game between the Ohio State Buckeyes and the Oregon Ducks. What's going on, Jeff? How you doing, man?
A lot's going on, Dax, but really things slow down. The marketplace is fixated on this game that's taking place at AT&T Stadium. Of course, the Cowboys aren't going to be playing there anymore, but that's a whole other story. We got Ohio State taking on Oregon.
Yeah, man. All right, man. I think this is like the second or third coverage that we're doing for this matchup. Let's just call it an update. Let's start looking at Ohio State first. Now, an interesting stat is that they've tied a school record in scoring 30-plus points in 12 straight games, Jeff. But do you think that the Buckeyes actually need to reach that number in tonight's game in hopes of lifting that trophy?
Absolutely. That's a number that they absolutely have to target. You have to be aggressive in attacking Oregon's defense because they're going to get their points. That's just what the Oregon Ducks do, specifically on a fast track. Of course, they have a really fast track when it's dry up in Eugene. Should be the same type of conditions indoors at AT&T Stadium in Dallas. So Ohio State definitely has to put up some points, and that's exactly what they've done during the postseason. 59-0 victory over Wisconsin, had a plus 300-yard advantage. That game looks even better now on paper, given the fact that Wisconsin knocked off a talented Auburn Tigers team who hailed from the SEC. Why do I bring that up? Because Ohio State's next win in the Sugar Bowl came against the Alabama Crimson Tide, and they had a 130-yard advantage in that one. So 30-plus in 12 straight games, very important for Cardell Jones to protect the football in this one. I found a very interesting stat because this is only his third career start taking over for Barrett, and of course, Braxton Miller not starting a game this season. QBs that have 11 or fewer starts in their collegiate career are 0-3 in title games since the BCS era. Of course, we're in a new type of era with the playoff, but it's still significant. 0-3 with those losses coming by an average of 17 points.
All right, man, it's going to be tough for Ohio State as well. I mean, Oregon is coming into this one leading the nation, outscoring opponents by a 141-point margin just off of turnovers this season, man. I mean, I'm assuming that this particular stat is very important for this high-intensity matchup. So can you go over it a little bit just so that we can have a better idea of this, man?
Yeah, I brought it up last week in our first coverage of this game, and I found it very important to even look further at that statistic, because that really is what these big games come down to. You look at the NFL games, they're real momentum changers, and you just don't want that Oregon tempo to get going. What Oregon does is they tempo you, and they'll score. But when you create a turnover, when they create a turnover, a single touchdown can turn into 14, 21 points in a hurry, unlike any other team in the country. It really doesn't matter who they face. Once they get going, very hard to stop. You saw that in the third quarter when Florida State turned the ball over 5 times in the Rose Bowl. The last 10 seasons, every team that has had a 130-plus point margin off of turnovers ended up winning the national title.
All right, Jeff, so since that this is like the third or fourth coverage that we've had for this, or let's just call it an update, I'm assuming that you haven't changed your mind and you're still sticking with Ohio State plus the 6 points. Am I correct?
It's very hard for me to get off that statistic that I referenced earlier of Urban Meyer's tremendous success when having more than a week to prepare for an opponent. An unbelievable record, and he'll have time to really dial up the rushing game, and I think that's what this game comes down to. You look at all the players, all the talent on the field, all the playmakers. I think this game comes down to the trenches. When you look at both these teams at the beginning of the season, one of the strengths on the defensive end was the defensive line. Pac-12-wise, Oregon probably had a top 3 defensive line, while Ohio State figured to have the best defensive line depth in the entire country, and they hired Penn State's defensive line coach to take over that unit this season. That was basically stated as the best unknown real hire, kind of under-the-radar hire in the entire country. Ohio State, 163.9 rushing yards on average between the tackles. That's where you want to attack Oregon's defense. And they were the only team in the last 2 seasons that had 200-plus rushing yards against Alabama in that specific area. Of course, the weakness for Alabama this season was the secondary. Ohio State exploited that by running between the tackles and then attacking them downfield. I think Ohio State's going to do the same formula here. And basically what I'm hearing, I am going to take the points, but basically what I'm hearing in Vegas, Dax, is the fact that the books are basically wanting an Oregon straight-up victory, but not covering the spread. This is the only game in town. The public money has yet to really be in the marketplace, but for the sake of the video, I'm going to go Ohio State getting the points.
All right, Jeff, good stuff, man. Great game ahead of us for tonight, and thanks a lot for all the insights, man. Let's talk some more football again next season.
Thank you.
No problem. And for SBR Picks, this is Dax Floyd.
The SBR Network offers free sports picks and game breakdowns, big money free betting contests year-round, a real-time Vegas-style odds monitoring service, and much more. So come see for yourself. To stay updated on SBR news and promotions, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Google+, and do be sure to subscribe to the Sportsbook Review YouTube channel to catch all our daily sports shows.